will have Stack Overflow, which has become the largest Q&A platform for developers worldwide. It is quickly expanding to enterprise customers with its staff knowledge management and collaboration offerings. With 120 million unique monthly visitors, they're now pushing towards their goal to work with every developer in the world. Today, the company has raised 85 million Series E. So we'll have the honor to welcome Jerry. Jerry is the CFO of Stack Overflow, and he's responsible for the financial health and culture of the company. He oversees the accounting, finance, revenue operations, corporate legal, people, and employee experience. He joined Stack back in 2015 as a controller, which is in charge with system implementation and process improvement. Jerry has over 18 years of experience with strategic finance and operational leadership experience. So welcome, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. So we will start with maybe you can walk us through a little bit about how you guys got started with Stack.
Yeah, absolutely. So Stack started about 10 years ago with our two founders, Jeff Atwood and Joel Spolsky. They really wanted to build an environment and a place on the internet where folks could get together and share ideas and really come to achieving answers for the various coding and software development questions and issues that could come up over time. And what they found was that they got momentum relatively quickly, mainly because of the ease of use of the platform, as well as the gamification piece that was added. So as you know, when you use Stack Overflow, there is the ability to upvote, downvote, and earn points and badges as you go through and answer questions and participate in the community. So today, when you think about the massive global reach and impact that we have on the development community, it's absolutely tremendous. We reach over 85% of the world's developers today. And those are folks that are coming to our site each and every week. When you look at the time for a developer to answer a question, or for a community member to actually answer a question, is just about 45 minutes, which is absolutely amazing. Today, you look at the engagement on the site, and we get over 120 million unique visitors, which puts us in the top 40 Alexa most traffic sites in the world. And in terms of user signups, we have over 160,000 users coming to the site and signing up each and every month. The one point that I want to just make on this slide is when you look at the right-hand side of the slide, that a lot of folks don't know, but we do have the largest developer community in the world, and with over 70 million of those developers coming to Stack Overflow and using the site and various products that we have. And when you compare that to, say, a GitHub, that is definitely a larger community than GitHub. So I talked a lot about the public community, which really is the moat that we've been able to create. And that really insulates us just with the number of questions, the quick answers, and it's the high quality of information around the software development community has just been absolutely amazing. And around that, we monetize. So we have 3 products, Stack Overflow for Teams, our advertising product, and our talent product. And I'll get into how each one of these work and what the offerings of each are. But I wanted to give a few highlights around the actual business today. So last year we had roughly 70 million in GAAP revenue. We've been EBITDA positive. Then EBITDA is our measure of profitability for the last 2 years. So both 18 and 19 have been EBITDA positive years for us. When you look at the company in terms of efficiency, we've been extremely efficient with capital. The last time we raised was 2015. We did a $40 million capital raise. And we just finished our Series E last month, where we raised 85 million. Catherine mentioned that in the intro. But in terms of revenue, is roughly 270,000 revenue per employee, which is amazing. Just given a company our size and reach, the average is around 200 when you look at the actual industry. And just a couple quick points on Teams. The growth around Teams, which is our developer collaboration tool, very similar to our Q&A public-facing platform. We've seen 125% year-over-year growth there consistently over the last 3 years. When you look at the net renewal rate or net retention rate, that's been in excess of 130%. And today we have about 1,500 paid teams on the platform today. So the overall market opportunity is what really excites me about Stack Overflow. And a big part of what I talked to just now was around what we do with developers and the community. And that's a good portion of the market opportunity, but that opportunity is much greater when we look at, when you start to expand that out. So 23 million developers in the world today, 85% of them are coming to Stack Overflow in some way, shape, or form. But developers don't work in a vacuum, right? They work with other technologists. So product managers, data scientists, database administrators, and so forth. Those are all considered technologists, and they use Stack Overflow. And we actually have niche sites around some of those specific topics. And then the bigger market opportunity is just knowledge workers. And that's anyone from a finance person to an HR to a legal person that is essentially a knowledge worker that's responsible for collaboration and knowledge in their day-to-day job. So when you look at some of the market research around this, the collaboration market is over $10 billion today, according to Grand View. And it's continuing to grow. Gartner has that growing by 2x over the next 4 years. So just very interesting and just very exciting market opportunity when it comes to where Stack Overflow is positioned today and capitalizing on knowledge workers, technologists, and developers. So when we kind of double click on the workflow for a software developer, on the left-hand side, you kind of see a software developer and the various software tools that they use today, with Stack Overflow being at the middle of that. So when you look at a developer, they'll have their code environment open at any given time, working on their code. And if a question comes up around the work that they do, they'll go to Stack Overflow to get the answer for that question. And now we introduced, and I talked about it briefly before, the Stack Overflow for Teams product, which is our internal Q&A platform that allows a developer to access and unlock information within a company in order to do their job. So a good use case would be, you have a developer that's working at, say, a large commercial bank, and they get assigned to a project where they need to recode the ATM software. So clearly, if questions come up around Q&A on that project, you wouldn't want to put that in a public domain on stackoverflow.com. But a question like that is 100% appropriate to collaborate on internally with other folks that work at that said company. So that's where Stack Overflow comes in and essentially helps those organizations manage that knowledge and fits right into a developer's workflow. Because, like I said on a couple of slides previous, 85% of the world's developers know and love Stack Overflow and use the public-facing site. So when folks, or companies, I should say, buy our product and start using it internally, there is no learning curve. So when we look at the market opportunity and I start to project out over the next couple of years, I see our growth going to 180 million ARR, over 10,000 paid teams, and over 500 plus enterprise accounts. just a quick conversation around the different products that we have. So I mentioned the free community where developers can collaborate online, 70 million of those folks around specific questions. So we have over 150 sites, 260 signups. I've mentioned that before, and you essentially see the Stack Overflow community on the left. In the middle, I talked briefly about the Teams product. It's 17 million in ARR today, 1,500 paid teams, 3,500 total teams. We do have some that are on free trial at the time. And what I've kind of laid out here is the different tiers within that product. We also have two other products, our talent and our advertising project, which we combined call Reach and Relevance. And the revenue there is roughly 54 million. So when we look at what's happening there is we actually bring together companies to interact with developers for different areas of reach. So for example, under our talent platform, we bring employers and developers together in order to place jobs. So employers can place a job description on our job board and essentially use us as a hiring platform to attract developers. And on the advertising side, we give companies the ability to evangelize products to the 70 million technologists that are coming to the site every month. So I want to take a minute to just talk about Teams and the typical land and expand motion that we have when we go into a specific customer. So I'll do one. So when you look at the top right quadrant, this is a large global software provider, and this is a customer of ours. I can't say the name because we're under NDA with them, but today, this provider has over 80,000 technologists on the Teams platform today. Our motion is land and expand. The customer has been with us for the last 3 years, but when we first sold to them, we did a 1 year, $150,000 deal, and that slowly expanded over the last 2 years. So that expansion, where it comes from is normally we'll sell into a developer community. So it'll be a specific division of a company and mainly focused around developers. But slowly as the product is adopted, database administrators will jump in and start to use the platform. Product managers will jump in and start to use the platform. And it will slowly start to creep into other areas within the company. And that deal has been successfully expanded to $1.5 million. So just tremendous growth on that particular client. And you could actually see on the other areas, very similar growth as well. One of the things I did, which I think is just very interesting, is taking our projected growth out to 2022 and benchmarking that against some of the SaaS leaders that have gone public over the last couple of years, and they're listed here. And our North Star is to go public. So we look at this on a regular basis to calibrate to make sure that we're going in the right direction. But if you see revenue-wise, we're right in the mix. And we believe over the next year, if we achieve our targets, that we can actually go public from a revenue, a net retention perspective, as well as a revenue growth rate perspective. So just a very interesting slide to kind of work backwards from a potential IPO in the next few years.